There's been a lot of conversation surrounding what happened with Sanji in One Piece chapter 1005, but we're not going to talk about that today. I already broke that down in my chapter review. Today I want to talk about his comeback, because for every low there's a high, and I fully believe Oda will give Sanji the greatness he deserves. So how exactly will Sanji achieve this greatness? Well, I think we can actually look at Enies Lobby as an example. So far in Onigashima, the story is definitely starting to feel a lot closer to Enies Lobby, where the Straw Hats got a lot of time to shine. And this is especially true for Sanji with everything that just happened with Black Maria, which a lot of people are calling Khalifa 2.0. Well, after Khalifa 1.0 in Enies Lobby, Sanji got some of the best moments he's had in the story. Before he even got into his fight with Jabra, he delivered this banger of a line to Usopp, saying, "I'll do what you can't do and you do what I cannot do." Ironically, that kind of applies to what happened last chapter as well. But yeah, after that he gets into this great fight with Jabra, Diable Jambe gets revealed for the first time, and to top it all off, he's the reason the Straw Hats were able to escape at the end because of the clutch Mr. Prince moment he had of opening the gates of justice. So judging from what happened in Enies Lobby, I think we can expect similar things in Onigashima. Now, as far as delivering some great dialogue like he did with Usopp, it's very hard to predict that, so we're not really gonna try. But I'm definitely certain Sanji will get some very badass moments where he drops some great lines. But as for how Sanji will get the majority of his shine, it'll definitely come in the main fights. And for me, this fight should be a very high level fight for Sanji, where he's up against a very strong opponent and he's kind of challenged. That way we could see some growth with his fighting and him getting stronger. Now, some of you might be saying Sanji doesn't need to have strength feats because he's just a cook. And yes, while that's definitely partially true, Sanji still has a lot of focus on his strength. There's definitely a clear separation between a character like Sanji and a character like Zoro. Zoro is somebody who focuses on getting stronger. His dream is literally to become the strongest swordsman. That's why he gets a lot more shine in fights and gets a lot of his W's in fights. Sanji, on the other hand, could get a lot of W's like winning over Viola or winning over Pudding. But that doesn't mean Sanji hasn't had a lot of focus and great moments in regards to his strength. So him getting a high level opponent and achieving greatness in that fight, I feel like it's consistent in the story and we can expect that. And as for this opponent that he could fight, I really think there's only three options. And those three options are Kaido's Calamities, King, Queen, and Jack. Now personally, I've always been on the Queen train. I've stuck with that pick ever since the beginning. So let's talk about the potential of him as an opponent first. Initially, I really picked him based off of the Monster Trio hierarchy. This hierarchy was something that was really established pre-time skip. Luffy will always fight the strongest person, Zoro will fight the second strongest, and then Sanji will fight the third strongest. But recently, especially post-time skip, we really haven't seen that hierarchy come back into play, especially now that Jinbei is part of the crew and we have another monster in strength. Now don't get me wrong, I think by the end of Wano, Sanji will re-establish himself as a top-tier Straw Hat, and in the long run, I do believe he's gonna have more potential than Jinbei. But as for the specific hierarchy of Luffy fighting the strongest and Zoro fighting the second strongest and Sanji fighting the third strongest, I don't think that's gonna be a thing anymore. So with that reasoning out of the window, why exactly do I think Sanji's still gonna fight Queen? Well, it really comes down to one thing, and that is Queen's connection with Judge. A while back when Queen was looking at Sanji's bounty poster, he mentioned Vince Smoke Judge, kinda hinting that he knew him. Now I will say that is all the information that we get in regards to Queen and Judge, so it could be absolutely nothing where Queen just knows Judge based off the Germa clout. But I feel like it's definitely possible those two have a history together. So for Queen, if he does know Judge, this connection would not only bring in a lot of storylines tied to Sanji from Whole Cake Island, but it will also allow us to explore Queen's backstory. And overall, that is another thing you have to consider when you're considering the opponent of Sanji. The fight has to make sense for both people and their stories. As Wano has gone on, we found out a lot more about Queen's inventions, and he definitely does feel like a smart person. Not only has he created these crazy deadly plagues like the mummy and the ice oni, but he's also a cyborg. We recently just saw he has a gun that comes out of his throat. And in the recent chapter, we found out about these cyborg mice and cats, which I feel like Queen probably invented as well. So basing it off this, I do feel like Queen is a scientist and does have some connections to people like Judge and Caesar and Vegapunk. And if he does have that connection to Judge, the fight would make sense for both sides. For Sanji, it would be a great way to build off some storylines that started in Whole Cake Island. Whole Cake Island put a lot of emphasis on Sanji's kindness and how far he's willing to go to sacrifice himself for others. And it's also the arc where we learned about his tragic backstory, which made his kindness even better. And that was kind of capped off by him saying that he wanted to save the Germa despite all the terrible things they did to him. And by the end of the arc, he didn't leave on good terms with the Germa, like he's still very much embarrassed of his name, but he's definitely definitely getting to a point where he doesn't hate his lineage. And in Wano, we're building off that a little bit already with him using the raid suit. That's him putting his pride away and using the Germa tech that he said he would never use in order to help and protect his friends for the greater good. But the one thing that's still really missing is him accepting that his name is Vinsmoke Sanji. Like him reaching a point where he's like, I'm a Vinsmoke, it is what it is, they treated me poorly, but that's my lineage. And if Queen has some sort of connections to Judge, it could definitely bring that storyline back into the light. Like this will be a very high level fight where Sanji has to use more of the raid suits. The conversations going back and forth could give some development moments for Sanji as well. And I do feel like by the end of that fight, Sanji could reach a point where he fully accepts his name. On top of that, it will also just be a very good fight. Queen is somebody that's not injured at all, so he's peak condition. He's also a Yonko commander with a bounty of over 1 billion. If Sanji gets a clean 1v1 win, that would be a huge W for him. And it's also an opportunity for Sanji to grow power-wise as well. Like what made the fight against Jabber so great was the introduction of Diable Jambe, a power-up. I feel like Sanji's probably gonna need something like that in a fight against Queen as well. It could be something with the raid suit that he figures out, because I feel like there might be more to it, or it could be an opportunity to bloom his hockey. And with the hockey aspect, while observation is Sanji's specialty, I actually feel like a fight against Queen will be a great opportunity for his armament to bloom, because so far that's been something that feels kind of lacking with Sanji, his actual attack power. His durability issues have kind of been taken away with the raid suit, but in terms of pure attack power, he needs to show more of that. And Queen is as diesel as it gets as an ancient zone. So I feel like in the beginning of that fight, Sanji has an opportunity to showcase a lot of his agility, mixing the raid suit powers with the powers he already has, like Skywalk and Diable Jambe. That would be dope to see in the beginning, but at a certain point, he probably hits a limit, and that limit will be dealing enough damage to actually hurt Queen, which he would probably need to either come up with a new move to like overcome that, or bloom his armament hockey. As far as how he gets to Queen, we didn't see him last chapter, so those two could definitely meet up somehow. Another option is that Queen is going after Chopper, and then Sanji has to come in and save Chopper, and we get a little bit of a tag team with Sanji and Chopper. That would be cool as well. So overall with Queen, he's still my top pick for Sanji. If the Judge connection is true, it's a great way to build off some storylines, and as an opponent, I really feel like it's a good way for Sanji to shine and grow. But I will say it's definitely not 100% locked in, because Jack and King are definitely possible. Jack as an option has really grown based off of the last chapter. Both he and Sanji are on the 3rd floor right now. They're both heading towards Kinemon, so it makes sense that they would meet up. And story-wise, there is the connection with what happened in Zou, so you could kind of build off of that. At the same time, I just don't feel like that would be that interesting of a fight. Like yes, Sanji knows what happened at Zou and what Jack did, and he would be very angry at that, but it really just doesn't have the layers to it as it would in a Queen fight if Queen knew Judge. On the other side, I feel like it would be kind of a wasted opportunity for Jack as well. My main pick for a Jack fight is Yamato, which I feel like would be much better. Not only do those two have kind of a contrast where Yamato is actually Kaido's kid and Jack is somebody that Kaido really treats like a kid, but with Momonosuke being there as well, that's another element that could get tied in. So Jack versus Sanji, while it would make sense with where we are in the story right now, I feel like it would be kind of lacking. The other element is that Jack is already injured from his fight with Neko and Inu, so the fight wouldn't be as high level as a Queen fight. Now, I will say, I feel like some people are sleeping on Jack because of the L's he's taken, but the L's he's taken have been against some really strong people. The people he lost to were Fujitora and Admiral, Zunisha and Island-sized Elephant, and also the 2 strongest minks in Sulong form. So let's not diminish Jack's strength based off of those L's, he is still very strong. And if he goes into hybrid form, him fighting Sanji would be a very high level fight. But again, I just do feel like there's better opportunities for both of these characters. Some people have brought up the idea that Jack is just gonna get blue node by Sanji, which listen, I would not be mad at because I really don't care for Jack that much and it would be a big W for Sanji, but you guys are severely underestimating Jack if you think Sanji could blue node him. But the final option in terms of opponents is King. Now King is an idea that's really grown on me. Personally, I still think he's likely going to fight Marco. I think that's a very fair fight, but I would definitely not be mad at Sanji fighting King because that would be an incredibly high level fight. People have been slandering King recently too, saying he's not doing anything, but King's definitely going to be very strong as well. And the matchup between these two where they both use fire to some extent, they can both fly, it will be very exciting. Plus, if Sanji takes over from Marco, Marco could kind of heal him up a little bit too. And yeah, overall, it would just be a very big W if Sanji is able to defeat King, the right-hand man of Kaido. But overall, with this fight against King, there's just not that many levels to it. Like, yes, we could definitely find out more of King's powers, maybe more about his race and what he actually is. But on Sanji's end, it would just be a very good fight and nothing really tied to storyline. So overall, my top pick is Queen, but I could definitely see any of these happening. Now, there are some other options that people have brought up as well that are not 1v1. Some people have said Sanji maybe still goes to the rooftop and fights Big Mom. And of course, that would build off Whole Cake Island, but remember, Sanji doesn't hit women, even if it's Big Mom. The most he would do is defend himself, and at this point, there's nothing indicating that he wants to go to the roof. But beyond that, there's definitely a lot of potential for Sanji to have some great moments Mr. Prince style. Again, that's exactly what happened in Enies Lobby. He got his main fight, but he also had the Mr. Prince moment. Now, what exactly will this Mr. Prince moment be? I really don't have a good guess. And honestly, I'm kind of happy that I don't have a good guess, because these moments are the best when you can't guess what's gonna happen. Like, the best guesses I have is like if the raid fails, he saves everybody somehow, or at the end of the arc, if some external force comes in, Sanji comes in clutch somehow. But honestly, I really don't know how Onigashima is gonna continue at this point, so I can't really guess what this clutch moment that Sanji's gonna have is. I do hope he's actually gonna have one of those moments, and it's just he's not gonna have one. But yeah, overall, those are my thoughts on how Sanji's gonna bounce back and achieve greatness in Onigashima. But I definitely want to hear your thoughts on this, so let me know in the comments below. But as always, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, please hit that like button. To keep up with this channel, you gotta hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to get notified. I just recently started a second channel called I'm D Weeb. I'll be making a bunch of anime and manga content not related to One Piece on there. Thank you all to all my King Pirates Elite members on YouTube and Patreon for supporting the channel. Be sure to follow me on Twitch and Twitter at I'm D Zach, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.